Google Ads for water damage restoration. Love it, hate it, indifferent to it, don't know anything about it. We're going to talk all things Google Ads and water damage restoration on the next few episodes.
This isn't just any podcast. This is your secret weapon for dominating the market.
This is the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast, and this is your host, Sean McMeen.
Welcome to episode 14 of Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast. I am your host, Sean McMeen, and today's topic will be Google Ads for water damage restoration. And if you've ever ran Google Ads for water damage restoration, you either sometimes love it, you either sometimes hate it, and there's a lot of frustration that can go in with it if you've never done it before, or if you have and you've spent a lot of money and you didn't get much results from it. Here's what I'll tell you from running Google Ads for water damage restoration for over 7 years now, is that you can start with a basic campaign, set this campaign up just like you've done any other campaign, and sometimes you get way different results. And so what we're going to talk about really is the complexities of Google Ads and what you should be doing in order to make the best use of your resources. None of us have a blank check. And that's one of the things that's so frustrating sometimes for damage restoration contractors, is that they will spend a lot of money on advertising to attract decent jobs, right? And quality jobs that can have a good profit margin for you. But what I see is that there's no strategy around the comprehensive marketing approach to attract those jobs. Many damage restoration contractors, most of them, all they care about is that the phone rings. Don't care about brand. I'd rather pay per lead. I'll run Google Ads. I have an unlimited budget. I've heard them all these things before, but I don't have an unlimited budget if it doesn't produce results. And that's the key factor here. Now, some things are out of our control. Excuse me. Some things are out of our control in the water damage restoration space. Obviously, you, in your area, depending on where you're located in the country, you're affected by different types of natural weather events, and you're affected by the number of competitors that you have in that area, whether you have basements or not. And so all of that goes into play when you're running Google Ads. Here's what I've also learned over the years, is that you can have a water damage restoration campaign or water damage campaign, and you can blow through a lot of money. And it's very easy to do if you do not set up the campaign correctly. So let's start from the top. Let's talk about Google Ads. What is it and what isn't it? What isn't it? That doesn't make any sense. But what is it? What it's not? All right. So Google Ads, basically what Google Ads at its high level is a platform that you can pay to play. So think about it this way. You have a website, you're promoting your company, you maybe don't have a website, and you're like, hey, I know I want to show up on Google when somebody's searching for the services in my area, and I know that takes time, but maybe I'll pay Google so I show up in the results before Google really knows who I am. And that's really what Google Ads does, is it's keyword based advertising, and you are paying to show up on Google for specific keywords. The vast majority of people in this space, water damage space, you're going to be running search campaigns. And search campaigns are campaigns that are just that. If you go to google.com and you go to the search platform and you search for a solution, you're gonna be bidding on keywords and showing your company when people are searching for a term or a keyword or a phrase or a question. And so there's multiple factors that are come into play with these, but at its highest level, that's what Google Ads is it helps you jumpstart you showing in there. Here's what I'll also tell you in Google Ads. If you're not at the top for water damage restoration, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And in order to be at the top, you have to spend more. And you can't just do it, I'm going to do it for a week and shut it off. That's not how it works. You have to dominate that market, and you want to have multiple spots within the top page of Google. But in order to do that, you have to pay to compete with the competitors that are already doing that in the area. And so there's no like cut and dry tool that says, okay, I'm going to pay this much or that much. It's a bidding situation. And so there could be 20 damage restoration contractors bidding on the same keywords as you, or there could be none. And you will have a guide within Google Ads in order to, there's tools in there that will tell you, okay, for this keyword, here's a estimated bid for that, or Google will recommend a bidding amount. But at the end of the day, it's based on competition. And the more people that are bidding up those keywords, the more expensive it's going to be. And so you have to have a comprehensive strategy and a long-term picture on this, and not a stop and start strategy. If you stop and start, it's going to cost you more money to establish that presence and be at the top. If you're not at the top, people pull up their phone and they're going to do a search for a solution to a problem they have. And if you're not at the top, they're not going to dig around and try to find you. It's unlike the emergency side of things is unlike, let's say you're going out to do a research for a deck or a home remodeling project or something like that. You're going to call couple different providers, right? Not in water damage restoration or flood cleanup or anything like that. You're going to pick whichever looks enticing at the top, right? And so the reason why I'm going into this episode to talk a lot about the context of how you need to think about Google Ads is because too many times I see that you think, oh, hey, I got a budget. I'm going to spend $500 this month on water damage ads, and I'm going to get 20 jobs. No way in hell that's going to happen. It just does not work that way. Too many competitors going after those same keywords, and they're spending a lot more in order to show up above you. And $500 does not cut it. On average, what we're seeing is that the best conversions from Google Ads come from the mobile side of things, just like the search side of things or SEO. People pick up their cell phone and they're going to search. And when you're running Google Ads, you can show on desktop, you can show on mobile, you can show on tablets. And the best converting Google Ads are typically on mobile. And that's why our main strategy is for search ads is mobile. And you will pay more. But if that results in a $5,000, $10,000 plus mitigation job that comes through, then pay more for it, right? Within reason. The ROI has to be there. Typically what we see, depending on the market, the cost per conversion is typically around $200 to sometimes $400. Sometimes can be a little bit more depending on how many competitors are in that area. So if there's a lot of competitors and they're bidding up that amount, then it's going to cost you more. And so when somebody comes in and says, hey, I got $500 I'm going to spend it on Google Ads this month and it's going to transform my damage restoration business, that just it is not the reality of the situation. Most markets you can't get by without spending at least $1,500. Most likely you need to be starting around $3,500. And thinking of this is at least a 3 to 6 month strategy that I'm going to use, and some months are going to be better, some months are going to be worse, okay, depending on the volume. There's only so much volume out there for people looking for your services like water damage cleanup or flood cleanup. And so the more competitors, the same volume, the less chances you're going to be out there unless you're willing to spend more. The other thing you have to keep in mind here is that for water damage, you know, a homeowner has an option to go to search for a plumber. They have an option to search for an insurance company. They have an option to search for a water damage restoration company. And so you're playing in about a third of that market or a third of that volume for people actually needing your services. And so that's why it's much more competitive and much more expensive. Now, I am not telling you to shy away from Google Ads because it 100% works. Where I have my issue with is that people will tell you that, hey, yeah, we can run Google Ads for you. They don't know anything about the industry, the keywords to use, the negative keywords to use, and what it really truly costs to generate qualified leads. And they will promise you the world, and at the end of the day, you're left holding the bag. I can also see situations where you're like, well, I don't want to pay somebody to run this for me because it's expensive to do that. So I'm going to try it myself. And then you do it for a month, maybe a couple weeks even. And you're like, wow, yeah, I spent $1,000 and I didn't get anything. And that is what happens. That is absolutely what happens. It is one of the most competitive Google Ads categories, water damage restoration. One of the only other competitive... Well, there's many competitive out there, but water damage restoration is one of the most. Roofing's very competitive, and lawyers. It just is what it is. They all fit together, right? Because it's an emergency service, typically. So don't think that I'm not a proponent of Google Ads. I absolutely am. But you have to make sure that you have experience running it, and that if you don't, you set yourself up for success with running it. And so, we're already about 12 minutes into this conversation here. So I'm going to go over what we're going to talk about the next episode. And what we're going to talk about primarily over the next episode is keyword strategy, how to craft your ad, what are some of the best practices for your landing page? What is your budgeting and bidding? And how do you set up tracking and analytics? And most importantly, common mistakes to avoid when you're running Google Ads. So, for this episode, I really want to get the point across that Google Ads absolutely works for water damage restoration, but you have to have proper expectations of the service and what it truly costs. You can't just throw a couple $100 at it and think that it's going to transform your business. That is absolutely not how it works. Too many competitors, too many people realizing that there is a ton of value in running Google Ads for water damage, and there's plenty of people that you're competing with. So, again, we're going to do a multi-part series about Google Ads, and hopefully this was helpful, some context around Google Ads and my thoughts about it. Listen to the next couple episodes, and I'm just gonna be an open book here and share with you how we do Google Ads and how it works for our clients, and give you some case studies and give you tips and things, common mistakes to avoid. So until the next episode, hopefully you got some value out of this. Just know that Google Ads absolutely works for water damage restoration, but you have to have those proper expectations and long-term outlook for it in order for you to be successful with it. All right, so until next time, this is Sean McMeen. Thanks again for following along on this journey, and don't forget to listen to the next part of Google Ads for water damage restoration.
You've been listening to the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast.
Sean's not here to just talk the talk. He's walked the walk. With a track record of helping over 70 damage restoration companies and engaging in over 500 conversations with industry owners, he's seen it all. From digital marketing triumphs to to the most ingenious growth hacks, he's got the keys to the kingdom, and he's sharing them with you. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, for more, hit the website at restorationmarketing.com. See you next time on the Restoration Marketing Secrets Podcast.